Dear ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when your silence is louder than any scream, when you're being misunderstood, misjudged, and mistreated, and yet you choose not to react in rage, not to defend every rumor, not to explain every detail. That is not weakness, that is wisdom, that is strength under control. That is what real warriors do. We live in a culture that celebrates loudness. If you're not clapping back, speaking out, or shouting your worth, then you're perceived as weak. But I want to tell you something today. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stay silent and let God speak on your behalf. When Jesus stood before Pilate, accused falsely, lied about, humiliated, he said nothing. Not because he couldn't speak, not because he didn't have truth on his side, but because his silence was a weapon, not a wound. When you choose silence in the face of chaos, you are saying, I trust that the truth doesn't need to be shouted to be heard. It just needs to be lived. You don't have to post it, prove it, or preach it to make it real. Some of your most powerful moments won't come through a mic, but through your restraint, through the peace you keep when you could have gone off, through the dignity you walk in when others try to drag you down. Let people wonder, let them assume, let them talk, because you know the truth, and more importantly, God knows the truth. Your silence is not your surrender, it is your stand. You don't fight like the world fights. You fight in faith, in wisdom, in discipline. You're not here to prove your worth, you were already approved before they doubted you. So, the next time you feel like exploding, like reacting, like proving them wrong, remember this. Silence isn't weakness. Silence is strategy. Silence is spiritual. Silence is strength. 10 key points of the speech. Silence is not weakness, it's strength under control. Choosing not to respond when you could is a powerful act of restraint, not cowardice. Silence reveals spiritual maturity. When you trust that God is your defender, you don't feel the need to argue your worth. The loudest response is sometimes no response. Silence disrupts drama and confuses those who expect your reaction. Jesus modeled the power of silence. In his moment of accusation, he remained silent because his purpose was louder than any protest. Silence can be a form of wisdom. Proverbs says even a fool seems wise when they keep quiet. Silence is often intelligence in disguise. God fights for those who stay in peace. When you choose stillness over strife, God steps in as your warrior. You don't have to prove what's already approved. Your identity, your worth, your calling, they don't require validation from people. Silence allows reflection instead of reaction. It gives space for God's voice to be louder than your emotions. Silence preserves your energy for purpose. Not every battle is worth fighting. Some are distractions, not destiny. When you stay silent in storms, you show trust in God's plan. It's faith to stay still and know He is working behind the scenes, absolutely. Here's an *** expanded version of key point 1 ** without a subtitle or conclusion, written in a *** Steven Furtick, inspired tone ** with deep intensity and motivational clarity. There's a kind of power the world doesn't recognize. It's not in noise, it's not in flash, it's not in clapping back or proving a point. It's in a quiet confidence. It's in the ability to hold your tongue when your flesh wants to fight. It's in the strength to sit still when your emotions scream to stand up and swing. And that kind of strength, that's not weakness, that's warfare. When you choose not to respond, when you hold back the urge to defend yourself, you are not showing signs of defeat. You're showing evidence of depth. Weakness reacts. Strength reflects. Weakness needs attention. Strength is grounded in identity. And if you know who you are, you don't have to prove who you are. Silence is not giving up. Silence is saying, I know my words are powerful, so I choose to use them wisely. It takes no strength to scream back. It takes deep strength to stay calm. It takes no discipline to argue with a fool. But it takes divine strength to walk away, keep your peace, and let God be your vindicator. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet are the quietest. Not because they're scared, not because they don't have something to say, but because they've learned the hard way. Not every voice deserves an answer. Not every attack needs a counterstrike. Not every fire requires your oxygen. You can stand tall and say nothing. You can hold your head high and stay quiet. You can walk in a room and let your integrity do the talking. That's not being passive. That's being powerfully positioned. That's what it means to live above offense, above insecurity, above petty battles. Because the one who needs to be loud often feels small, but the one who knows they carry strength can stay quiet and still own the room. Let people misjudge you, let them misunderstand your silence, let them create their own narratives, because the truth, you don't need to yell when you carry authority, you don't need to shout when you walk in purpose. Certainly. Here's a large length expansion of key point 2 for the title Silence is not weakness. Crafted in a Steven Furtick style tone deep, passionate, and conviction. Filled without subtitle or conclusion Sometimes the loudest victories are won in complete silence. There are moments in life when saying nothing is the very thing that says everything because silence doesn't always mean surrender, sometimes it means strategy. Sometimes it means you've stepped out of the shallow battles and into the deeper waters of divine wisdom. And that, my friend, is where real strength is forged. The world teaches us to defend ourselves instantly, to respond to critics, to prove them wrong, to never let disrespect slide. But heaven teaches a different lesson. Heaven says, "Be still and know that I am God." Stillness isn't laziness. Silence isn't apathy. It's positioning. It's spiritual posture. It's when you've decided that your energy is too sacred to be spent on proving a point that God has already established. Some of the battles you face aren't even worth your words, because you weren't built to wrestle with distractions, you were built to walk in destiny. And if the enemy can get you to keep speaking just to feel powerful, he's already robbed you of the power that exists in your restraint. Sometimes the enemy doesn't attack you with destruction, he attacks you with distraction. And silence is your weapon to stay focused. Your silence says, "I'm not fighting this battle in the flesh." Your silence says, "I trust the God who sees all, hears all, and judges justly." Your silence says, "This isn't weakness, this is maturity." Because immature faith always has something to prove, but mature faith knows what's already been promised. You see, it's not that you can't speak. It's that you choose not to. It's not that you lack a response, it's that you've realized some responses aren't worthy of your voice. Not because you're arrogant, but because you're aware of your assignment. When you finally understand your worth, your calling, and your identity in Christ, you stop explaining yourself to people who were never assigned to understand you in the first place. The truth is, silence can be louder than speech. It says, "I've outgrown the need to be right in their eyes because I'm already righteous in His." It says, "I could respond, but I won't because my peace is more valuable than my pride." And when the enemy tries to provoke you and your old self wants to rise up, silence says, "I'm not who I used to be anymore." Silence isn't passive, it's powerful. It's not cowardice, it's courage. It's not a sign that you're weak, it's a sign that you've mastered the strength of self-control. And when you walk in that level of discipline, your silence becomes louder than 1,000 arguments ever could, certainly. Here's a large length expansion of key point 3 from Silence is not weakness. In the powerful, raw, and revelation filled tone you expect without subtitle or conclusion There's a kind of silence that doesn't come from fear, it comes from fire. Not the fire that burns you down, but the fire that refines you. The silence that comes after pain, after betrayal, after disappointment, after misunderstanding. That silence isn't empty. It's sacred. It's filled with strength that only those who have survived the storm will ever understand, because when you've been through enough, you don't need to announce your strength, you just walk in it. You don't have to shout to prove you're healed, your quiet confidence becomes your testimony. When the world expected you to break, but instead you bowed your head, folded your hands, and whispered a prayer that was strength, that was power, that was a war cry dressed as stillness. We live in a culture addicted to noise that demands validation, applause, recognition, revenge. But real healing is often quiet. Real transformation doesn't beg to be seen. It doesn't have to post about the pain it overcame. Sometimes the strongest people are the quietest ones in the room. Not because they don't have a story, but because their story is too sacred to share with anyone who hasn't earned the right to hear it. There is a kind of strength that grows in the quiet corners of surrender. When you stop trying to defend your name and start letting God elevate it. When you stop engaging every argument and start engaging the promises over your life. Silence is not the absence of response, it's the presence of discipline. It's the decision to not let your emotions dictate your direction. There are things that no longer deserve your energy, and silence becomes your boundary, not because you've given up, but because you've grown up. You no longer find strength in being heard, you find strength in being whole. And when you're whole, you don't need a stage to stand strong. You can stand in your living room, your prayer closet, your car, your quiet mornings, and God will meet you right there. That's real power. That's the kind of silence that breaks chains, not by noise, but by knowing who you are, knowing whose you are, knowing that when others left you, misunderstood you, or misused you, God never changed his mind about you. That kind of silence becomes a statement that says, I've already won. I don't need to prove anything. I'm still standing, and that's loud enough. So when you choose not to clap back, when you choose not to explain yourself, when you walk away from the drama and hold your peace, don't ever think that's weakness. That's strength on a spiritual level. That's warfare. That's a worshipper who's been through it and decided to rise anyway certainly. Here's a large length expansion of key point 4 from silence is not weakness, written in a bold, emotionally charged faith-driven tone without subtitle and conclusion. There is a difference between being silent and being silenced. One is a choice, the other is control, and when you choose silence, it becomes a weapon the enemy cannot predict, because the enemy expects noise. He expects retaliation, drama, confusion, chaos, but what throws him off is when you stand still with peace in your eyes and power in your spirit, and you say nothing. Some of the most powerful moments in Scripture happened in silence. The walls of Jericho didn't fall when they shouted. They fell after they walked silently for 6 days. Jesus didn't defend himself in front of Pilate. He stayed silent because he knew the cross was his calling. Silence, when chosen with purpose, is not weakness, it is wisdom. You see, silence can be louder than words when it is rooted in confidence. Confidence not in yourself, but in the one who fights for you. The more you mature in your faith, the more you realize that you don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to clap back at every insult. You don't have to correct every rumor. Because truth doesn't need a megaphone, it just needs time. Time reveals what silence protected. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is not speaking your mind, but guarding your heart. Because words can be weapons, but silence can be strategy. And when you learn how to respond with wisdom instead of reaction, you start winning battles you didn't even have to fight. You start walking in rooms where your silence carries more weight than someone else's speech. Because people who are truly powerful don't need to dominate, they discern. Think about the moments when you wanted to scream, to fight, to explain, to defend yourself, but you chose to say nothing. That wasn't weakness. That was growth. That was God working in you. That was strength developing in silence. You may not have seen the results immediately, but heaven saw it. Heaven recorded it. Heaven responded to it. Every time you chose peace over provocation, God was building something stronger in you. The kind of silence we're talking about is not passive, it's intentional, it's holy, it's active obedience. Because sometimes when you're quiet on the outside, it's because you're roaring on the inside with faith, with discipline, with divine restraint. That's the kind of silence that defeats the plans of the enemy before you even say a word. So don't mistake someone's quietness for weakness. Don't mistake your own silence for surrender. If you've chosen to be still, to pray instead of post, to trust instead of talk, then you've already stepped into a level of strength that can't be measured by volume. You're not shrinking, you're sharpening, you're not losing, you're listening, and that silence, that's where God speaks the loudest. Here is a large, length expansion of key point 5 from silence is not weakness, written in a powerful, emotionally driven Steven Furtick, inspired style without subtitle and conclusion. Sometimes we forget that restraint is a sign of spiritual maturity. The world says, speak your mind, clap back, don't let them get away with that. But the Spirit says, hold your peace, and it's in that holy restraint, that sacred pause, where your strength is revealed. Because it's easy to explode, it's easy to react, it's easy to let your emotions hijack your destiny, but it takes divine strength to remain grounded when everything around you is trying to pull you into chaos. You know what's hard, walking away from a fight you know you could win, simply because you know it's not worth it. You know what's strong, smiling in silence when someone tries to provoke you, not because you're scared, but because you've outgrown the need to prove yourself. That's not weakness, that's authority. That's what Jesus had when he stood before his accusers and they hurled insults at him and he said nothing, because he knew who he was. And when you know who you are, you don't have to respond to every lie thrown at your identity. Some of the strongest people in the world are those who have learned how to pause not out of fear, but out of wisdom. When you develop the discipline to stay silent, you're saying, I don't need to win this moment. I'm trusting God to win the war. And make no mistake, there is a war happening. Not just around you, but inside you. The war between reaction and restraint, between emotion and discernment, between your flesh and your faith. And every time you choose silence, you're letting your faith win. There's power in pausing, power in waiting before speaking, power in responding, not reacting. And the devil gets nervous when you stop feeding the noise. He gets nervous when you sit still and let God fight your battles. Because now, you're not operating in your flesh, you're operating in divine alignment. You're not just holding back your voice, you're holding on to your destiny. Too many people sabotage their future with words they didn't pray over. Too many people lose peace over conversations they never needed to start. But when you practice restraint, when you hold that text, delete that comment, close your mouth, and lift your heart, you become dangerous in the spirit. Because now, your silence is a signal to heaven that says, I trust you more than I trust myself. This kind of restraint doesn't come from personality, it comes from power. It comes from the Holy Spirit producing fruit in your life, self-control, peace, gentleness. And make no mistake, gentleness is not timidity, it's controlled strength. Just because you can doesn't mean you should . And when you understand that, you stop wasting energy on things beneath your purpose. So let them misunderstand you, let them misjudge you, let them assume your silence is surrender, because God knows the truth and his vindication speaks louder than any argument you could ever win. You don't need to shout to prove your strength. Sometimes the quietest people carry the loudest authority in the spirit, not because of what they say, but because of what they don't have to.